2 weeks to go until the race, and that means one thing: time to taper. Tapering for an ultramarathon can be really difficult in terms of making sure that you get it right. Not going in overtrained is more important than potentially going in undertrained, because you'll feel a lot worse come race day if you've overtrained. So ensuring that your taper is correct is critical to having a good race. My approach to ultramarathon tapering has consisted of looking at my normal weekly mileage and then reducing that down 3 weeks out from the race by around 50%, then to about 30%, then in race week down to around 20%. This approach has worked really well for me previously. Prior to that, I think I was doing too much before the races. In 2016 I did a couple of races. It was probably my worst year in terms of race results, because I think I was going in overtrained and not rested enough. I was more concerned about getting more miles in close to the race, which wasn't suitable. So I've really adopted this quite a steep taper in the last 3 weeks before a race, which has worked well for me. The actual training during the taper period will be quite consistent in terms of doing the same number of runs per week and also doing the same type of runs per week. So I'll still do, for example, some hill reps, I might do some tempo runs. The other thing about tapering is making sure you still keep it specific. So because I'm doing a very mountainous ultra, that means that I'm still getting some hill repeats in, so getting some elevation in my training. But instead of, say, doing an hour and a half, I might only do 45 minutes 2 weeks out. Keeps the legs used to going up and down hills, still get a bit of training rather than just completely running on the flat, and keeps the specificity off my training. This has been shot on the Land Rover Explorer phone. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, as I'll be doing a review of that very soon. That means that the total number of runs during the week will stay the same, but the duration of them, and importantly the duration of the high intensity, will reduce. So the total time on my feet will come down by around 50% 3 weeks out, and then the intensity element will still be there, but will also be reduced. So rather than saying doing 2 times 30-minute tempos within an hour and a half run, those might reduce down to sort of 15 minutes and then 10-minute tempos sessions rather than doing the longer period. This approach ensures that the legs are still working well come race day, and also that they're well rested. By having that quite significant drop at the start, it gives me time to adapt and reduce even more if I feel that I've not recovered enough, just based on how the legs are feeling in weeks 2 and 3 of the taper period. The other difficulty which tapering has is actually not doing too much and not getting too bored. The other thing that I use tapering for is finalising all the planning, my nutrition strategy. I'm going to do a video on that next, so you can see what my nutrition strategy is for an ultramarathon. And then also finalising the kit choice. I'm trying out the Salmon Pulse belt today, which is a waist belt which I recently bought to try and carry the poles. I did have one, it wasn't really working out, so I will also do a review of the Salmon Pulse belt, which is a relatively new bit of kit, new for me anyway. The final thing that I do during taper period is practice running with all of the mandatory race gear, so that come race day I'm used to using it all and have practice with it. And that's not just the kit itself which is required, but also the shoes, socks, shorts, everything which I'm planning to do on race day I try and recreate. Lavaredo, for example, is starting at 11 PM, so one of my last runs I'll do before then, one of my last long runs, will be starting late in the evening after I've had dinner. Normally all of my training is either first thing in the morning or early evening before I have my evening meal. However, what I will do at least once or twice, just to get used to it and practice, see how it goes, is have a meal and then do the run later on in the evening. That will give me practice of running with a head torch, but also get my stomach used to running on maybe a fuller stomach and having an evening meal than I would normally. Hill reps done. That's one more tough training session out the way before the race. Well, not as tough as they were previously, as I mentioned, easing off the duration of them, but the intensity has to still be there this week. And I will have one more uphill treadmill session, probably do about 2.5, 3k, whereas previously I was doing around 6, 7k. And also I will do one more run with a bit of tempo in it of around 10 minutes. I hope you found this video useful. Please subscribe to the channel by clicking on the subscribe button if you want to follow my training, and I will see you next time.